So I want to get started with the very first story. If you have not heard the news, it appears that Elon Musk has decided to reinstate Alex Jones' Twitter account. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, he is back. He is back. And he made a video giving a shout out to Elon Musk. We're going to get into that video. And I also want to hear what you think about this in reference to free speech. Some people are happy that Alex Jones is back on Twitter. Some people are not. They think it's a dangerous idea. We'll get into that as well when you hear what Piers Morgan had to say about Elon Musk bringing Alex Jones back on Twitter. But first, you'll get to hear from the man himself. Here is Alex Jones letting you know that he's back.
Less than a day after being reinstated to X, I was on Mario Nawfal's #1 X Spaces program. It had over 120,000 people watching at one time, more than 8 million watched it by the time it was over. Elon Musk came on for more than 2 hours, and I asked a lot of good questions. So officially, I was the guy getting interviewed, but I turned it around, made it about Elon Musk, because quite frankly, he's even more interesting than I am. We're going to be posting this interview with just my questions, cut down the full interviews, obviously on Mario's channel. We'll be posting it to X here in the next few hours. I'll be playing on my radio show and TV show tomorrow, 11 a.m. Central, Infowars.com/show. So for all the people that heard about Infowars, but didn't know what we really stood for because it was misrepresented, this is your chance to go to Infowars.com/show, ban.video, or at Real Alex Jones back on Twitter and actually see what I say, see what I stand for, and see it in context. At Real Alex Jones, please follow us there. You can also find us where we've still been on air 5 years after we were deplatformed at Infowars.com/show, ban.video, and newswars.com. But this is just.
Now, I want to say something really quickly here and we'll finish this video. I'm all for free speech. So, I mean, for me, I don't really, there's no skin off my back if Alex Jones is back on Twitter. But some people are really upset and they are showing it. They are really showing it. But I think what's important that we have to understand is that remember who was banned first. It was Alex Jones in reference to independent media. So actually, they started banning commentators on the right first. And then there were some people who actually cheerleaded that. They were happy that these accounts were being shut down. But then it made its way to the left. And then they started to suppress and also demonetize and ban left shows as well. So censorship knows no party. Censorship knows no political ideology. You know, if you're saying things that they feel does not fit the narrative, whether I agree with it or not, they can remove you. And that's a very, scary feeling, but it can happen to anyone.
Story. It's way bigger than Alex Jones. This is about Renaissance 2.0. It's about free speech winning. It's about the deep state failing. This is beyond cool. And again, Elon Musk talks about everything, including subjects he's never been asked about before in this interview. So I'll be on my regular show. I'll be breaking it down weekdays, 11 a.m. Central, but you want to hear the Alex Jones, Elon Musk interview at ban.video, Infowars.com, and at Real Alex Jones on Twitter. I want to salute the crew. I want to salute our supporters. I want to salute the folks that have kept us on air. Tucker Carlson for interviewing me last week that took us over the top. And I want to salute Elon Musk. Freedom of speech is paramount to a free human society. We're pro-human. We're on Team Human, as Elon Musk said. And the t-shirt's coming soon. Team Human, Infowars.com. I'll see you on the front lines of the fight for our future.
Okay, so here's my thing on this. I know a lot of people are, giving Elon Musk credit for reinstating his account. But while you're at it, Elon Musk, I would really like for you to bring back Garland Nixon on Twitter. So for those who are not aware, Garland Nixon, his account is it's published on Twitter, but they have permanently locked Garland Nixon out of that account. That's why you're not seeing any tweets from him. So I think the thing is I've noticed that Elon Musk, I think he is trying to, bring back some of those voices on the right and elevate some of those voices on the right as well, to be honest. But that's not happening on the left. When we get into this Twitter space discussion as well, another thing that you'll notice, these Twitter spaces that are hosted by Mario, and Mario follows me. If you notice, there's never left voices that are hosting these spaces or co-hosting these spaces. And I don't mean like someone like myself, but I'm talking about the bigger left voices, right? So like, I don't see Brianna Joy Gray co-hosting any of these Twitter spaces. I don't see any of these bigger names on the left being invited to co-host these spaces. And trust me, they're not being invited. I already know. We've had this conversation. They're not being invited. So it would be really great to see them apply that to the left as well, and not just people on the right. If we're going to talk about censorship, we got to include everybody, not just those voices that were suppressed or removed on the right. Now, Mario actually tweeted this in reference to Alex Jones. He said, Alex Jones and General Flynn discussed talking to liberal intellectually. So we're going to get into this conversation here. So this is Mario, Alex Jones, and General Flynn in this Twitter space. And you may recognize some of these faces here. This gentleman here down towards the bottom, who's next to Dave Smith, he actually posts a lot of Gaza content. So a lot of those videos that you see going viral on Twitter, about Gaza, that's actually coming from him. So he was in the space. Jackson Hinkle was there. Of course, Elon Musk, of course, Mario, and of course, Alex Jones. So let's get into this discussion here.
True.
I don't know how you do it.
We're 109,000 right now. 109,000.
Yeah, I don't know how you do it, but I know that that we have to do it. We don't have I think we are in a place where we don't have a choice right now. I think the intellectual arguments on their side, I just think that they're going to fall flat, and they don't really have a good argument. And Elon mentioned it early on about, how much energy it takes to lie. I mean, it just does, to lie to so many damn people. But we have to pick this fight. It has to be intellectual. Our intellectual arguments are much, much stronger. And I just think we have to have the right type of people. And, those people have been on here today and invite these people. I mean, if they don't want to come, we call them out as cowards. I mean,
wait a minute.
Why not?
Okay, they're talking about liberals, just FYI.
And everybody, wait a minute. General Flynn, hold on a minute. I'm going to call you out right now. Eating bugs, drag queen story time, open borders, World War III. You're saying that's not how you're saying their plan isn't wonderful?
Hey, for a guy that has had to eat bugs, Alex, they don't taste very good. So, yeah.
So look who was in this space. It said live Alex Jones, Musk, Tate, Gates, Vivek, Kalakanis, PBDC. These are all people that are on the right. And again, I'm pro free speech, but I would like to see Mario invite some left voices into some of these Twitter spaces that he hosts. And he has not been. It's something that a lot of us on the left have talked about. So again, they were basically talking about liberals, so to speak. So it said, Flynn said, I think the intellectual arguments on their side, I just think that they're going to fall flat and they don't really have a good argument. We have to pick this fight. It has to be intellectual. Our intellectual arguments are much, much stronger. I just think we have to have the right type of people. And those people have been on here today and invited these people. So that's what they were talking about. They're talking about someone like the woke language and things like that. But again, I would like to see left voices in that space. Now, as much as I've said that some people are happy that Alex Jones is back, some people are not. And that includes, of course, Piers Morgan. He actually does not agree with Elon Musk's decision to bring him back to Twitter. And he actually goes on to say that he believes that this is actually dangerous. Listen to this.
I'm a passionate defender of free speech. There's a massive clue in the name of this show, uncensored. And I believe in it. I believe that all honestly held opinions, however offensive they are, belong in the open, where they can be challenged, debated, and exposed. But there are limits on free speech. There are laws, and there is a line. I've always said that Alex Jones is a perfect example of where that line got crossed. He's a conspiracy theorist and shock jock in America who made hundreds of millions of dollars by peddling outrageous lies that the Sandy Hook school massacre shooting was a hoax. For the uninitiated, this is him shouting at me a week after that massacre on CNN.
Let me pause there for a second. So I do not agree with those statements that came from Alex Jones about the Sandy Hook school shooting. I do not agree with that. But I also don't think that people should be silenced, because the thing is, this just becomes a dangerous, like, slippery slope. Like I said, they came after him first, then they started to come after other voices. Remember, Twitter also had banned, like, Donald Trump. I don't agree with everything, most of the things I think politically that Donald Trump says. But again, then they in turn came after voices on the left. Let's go back and remember, what was it, about 2 years ago, where Hardlin's Media was censored on YouTube? They came after them, of all people. They came after Hardlin's Media. They also came after Jamal Thomas, who hosts the Progressive Soapbox. Jamal Thomas, of all people. Like, these are not people that have dangerous rhetoric. So they in turn started to come after left voices. They came after MCSC Network, the Convo Couch, etc. So it does spread. So that's the thing about censorship. We're just going to fast forward through this part, because I know YouTube is not going to like that rhetoric there about Sandy Hook. Let me come in here.
Because the only response in America to the Sandy Hook massacre was to do nothing. In fact, they continue to sell a lot more guns. 1 million new guns get sold in America every month. And there are already over 400 million in circulation. So if you're wondering, if you're curious why there are so many more mass shootings in America than there used to be, that's why. And if you're wondering what's going to happen in the next few years as 1 million new guns enter circulation and nothing gets done to stop mass shootings, my guess is there'll be a lot more mass shootings. I've covered a lot of them, especially when I was at CNN in America. Very few of them, in fact, none of them actually, were as soul-crushing as Sandy Hook. 20 children, aged between 6 and 7, were murdered by a mass killer with a semi-automatic AR-15 rifle. Alex Jones's reaction to this absolute appalling atrocity was to tell his followers on his InfoWars show it was all a government hoax set up by the Obama administration, a deep state plot to justify new gun laws that would take away their guns.
Yeah, he was wrong about that. But to be fair, he has apologized for that, just FYI.
He said the grieving families were all crisis actors.
Sandy Hook, it's got inside job.
Let me go ahead and skip over this. Sorry. I just know YouTube is not going to like that. There we go.
Well, as a direct result of his lies, those grieving families were harassed and threatened with death by his followers. Erica Lafferty, daughter of the murder principal, Dawn Hochsprung, got death and rape threats from people who said her mother was fictional. Robbie Parker, who lost his daughter Emily, was chased down the street by a Jones supporter asking him how much he'd earned by lying about the death of his daughter. Mark Barden, father of 7-year-old victim Daniel Barden, says that one of Jones's followers urinated on his dead son's grave. Some of these families have successfully sued him now for defamation, which is explicitly not protected by America's First Amendment. Jones was ordered to pay record damages, more than $1 billion in total. He's yet, of course, to pay a penny. He actually declared himself bankrupt to avoid doing so. Nevertheless, Elon Musk has inexplicably decided it's time to restore Alex Jones to X, formerly Twitter.
So some of the parents did sue him. So it took place in court, which is actually where it should have been. But I feel like other than that, you have to be careful about removing people from platforms. Look at all the people that have been removed. We know Jackson Hinkle was removed. Again, I don't agree with everything Jackson Hinkle says politically, but I've also said again, still, you have to be careful because people still should have that right of free speech. And I'm going to show you in just a bit what it actually says in the Constitution about free speech.
I'm a big supporter generally of Elon Musk. I think the work he's doing to eradicate bias and protect free speech in the place where so many debates now originate is an important, very important one. But this was a profoundly disappointing and wrong decision. I'd like to remind Elon what he said about reinstating Alex Jones when he first took over. He said this. He said he wouldn't restore him and said, "My firstborn child died in my arms. I felt his last heartbeat. I have no mercy for anyone who would use the deaths of children for gain, politics, or fame."
But Elon Musk has been known to change his mind. And we all know this. Like, he may say one thing today and then tomorrow he'll change his mind. He did actually submit a poll on Twitter asking people if he should reinstate Alex Jones. He's kind of been known to do that. He's did the same thing with Donald Trump, and he brought Donald Trump's account back, although I don't think Trump has been tweeting because Trump has Truth Social. But he has been known to do that. So I will say he did ask the viewers, he asked, Twitter followers if they thought he should bring him back. So just FYI.
Well, that is precisely what Alex Jones did. He literally used dead children for gain, fame, and politics. So what's changed in a year, Elon? Well, there's now a big movement to rehabilitate Alex Jones online. Many argue he's right more often than he's wrong, when all the evidence points to the complete opposite. And in the case of Sandy Hook, it wasn't just one little mistake that he owned up to. Andrew Tate tweeted, Alex Jones is an effing hero. Really? He's not my kind of hero. He's the opposite of a hero. This is a man who repeatedly and deliberately lied about the mass shooting of children at school to enrich himself. He called it all as phony as a $3 bill. And yet that's what he is. Yes, he's now apologized, but he did that under legal duress because his business was about to go to the wall. This wasn't.
So I guess the question is, are we going to hold this against Alex Jones for the rest of his life? I think that's the question that I have. Like, yeah, he did apologize. Yes, he did go to court, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know if I would call him a hero, but I think this is part of the problem. I think people spend too much time looking for heroes. If you're looking for a hero, just look in the mirror. You can be your own hero, right? But you should never look up to all these other people, pundits, commentators, et cetera. You should never look up to any of these people and celebrities as well as your hero. And I think that's a big part of the problem. I think a lot of people, particularly in this country, they're still looking for a hero.
Something he blurted out once and instantly regretted. He did this for years. And every time he lied about Sandy Hook, he made more money. Night after night, day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year. And he knew what was going on to these families as a result of his harassment on air. To see him back on X selling his book, his merchandise, his website, his info wars, frankly, makes me want to puke. Every opinion should be heard, but inciting harassment and violence to profit from unspeakable grief, to pour into the wounds of those families yet more misery and pain. That's not free speech. It's deliberate hate speech, and it's disgusting.
So Piers Morgan is not happy about Alex Jones coming back. Russel Brand actually had something to say about this as well. He said Elon says he would go to prison for free speech and Alex Jones is back. So this is actually Russel Brand. He recorded part of this Twitter space. Listen to this part.
With that,
we all know what that is now, don't we? Pause it. Twitter Spaces, it's taken over everything. You've got to watch on the show. We're talking about that. Would Elon Musk go to prison for his views? He says he's willing to. Alex Jones offered another take on Sandy Hook. We're also talking about extremism elsewhere. Are the escalating demands for continuing the conflict in Ukraine extreme? Is some of Jacinda, I don't remember her surname, Ireland, excuse me, is some of her rhetoric around free speech extreme, particularly when she overtly proposed a two-tier society at the height of the pandemic? Is it extreme the way that legacy media rhetoric always describes Trump as a dictator? So we're talking about extremism and media. We're talking about independent media spaces and legacy media spaces. We're going to have a conversation just with a few less contributors. Musk, Tate, there's so many people on there, although I think they've all been on the show at some point. See you at these times. In the meantime, stay free, remember.
So that's Russel Brand there asking about, well, what actually is free speech and what can you discuss? Now, I want to show you something here, and this is from Jeffrey Denton. I'm not sure if you've seen this before, but he posted this in reference to free speech. He said, Congress shall make no law respecting answer establishment of religion. Let's see what it says in the Constitution with the First Amendment. It says the First Amendment, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or of the right of the people peacefully to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. So this is straight from the First Amendment. So I saw this on Twitter and I was like, I have to show this to people. Do you see this, guys? Congress shall make no law in reference to free speech. So when you see these hearings that are happening in Congress about censorship from Matt Taibbi and Michael Schellenberger, also RFK spoke to them in reference to free speech, Congress really has no authority here. This is straight from the First Amendment. Share this with your friends. I don't think everyone has actually read this. It goes on to show House passes resolution condemning anti-Semitism. Remember this? Remember we talked about how they passed that resolution, right? Basically equating Zionism with anti-Semitism. So if you're anti-Zionist, now they're trying to say that you're anti-Semitic. Congress is not supposed to do this according to the First Amendment. And everyone should push back on this. Look, we didn't write the First Amendment. This was already written. This is incredibly dangerous. Where are we going? What are we doing? What's happening here? Everyone, when you have the opportunity, you should call your representative. Their numbers are public. Call your representative in Congress and tell them about what the First Amendment says. I don't understand how this was even able to pass. No law in reference to free speech. Should this be taken to the Supreme Court? And the reason why it says this in the First Amendment is because it is incredibly dangerous. Because now the government is having oversight over what you can say. Even the piece here about free press. Look at what's happening to Julian Assange. Why do you think they don't want to call him what he was, which was a publisher? Why do you think they refer to him as a hacker? That's what I want you to think about. And I'm showing you this because don't be surprised if they make another move pressuring Elon Musk and telling Elon Musk he has to remove certain people from that platform. Don't be surprised. So you don't have to like Alex Jones. You don't have to like any of these people. Piers Morgan, Andrew Tate, any of these people. But you also don't have to listen to them. You don't have to read what they write. And you don't have to watch them. That's the beauty of it all.